reading. Yeah, f*** you, France.
The Russian president ordered massive bombing strikes.
1995. Close enough to the Cold War that Hollywood could still get away with presenting Russia as an aggressive world military power worthy of concern. Hey, wait.
And appears to be turning into the worst standoff since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So there's your 90-second, I guess, news broadcast? Was that live? I don't know. All I know is that he was kicked off the ship for impersonating a news broadcaster later. Movie about nuclear submarines takes its name from a college sports nickname because SEC bitches. Wait. Aragorn and Malcolm X together at a kid's birthday party? I think I just found my fan fiction niche.
Threatened nuclear attack.
Oh good, more news.
Should anyone, including the...
Either they lit the birthday candles and neglected to have the birthday girl blow them out, or they lit them before the magic show even began, which is way too f***ing early to be lighting birthday candles, or it's possible the prop guy lit them because he thought it'd make a cool but illogical shot. Michael Bay's Godfathers.
Yeah, horses, they're fascinating animals. Dumb as fence posts, but very intuitive. In that way, they're not too different from high school girls. They might not have a brain in their head, but they do know all the boys want to f*** them.
Who is f***ing the horse in this scenario? Because I feel like that's a line you've been dying to say, but you worried you never get a chance to say it, and then this thing about horses comes up, and you're like, time for my brilliant line about high school girls.
Jack Russell's smartest dogs alive.
But not that intuitive, and that way they're like those nerdy chicks in AP Calculus. They have brains in their heads, but no idea how much the boys want to f*** them. Also, I see someone's never owned a border collie.
I will kill 900,000 of the people who are responsible.
Take it you've seen enough?
Of news broadcasts? Most definitely.
Here we go again, Commander.
Hunter just happens to get the XO job on a submarine where his best buddy is the weapons officer. And thank God, right? Movie probably saved a ton of money on rain machine rental by filming next door to the Shawshank Redemption set right when Darabont was filming Andy's Escape. Microphones hooked up in a downpour? That's a paddling.
And what is that name, Mr. Cobb? Alabama, sir. And what do we say? Go, Bama! Roll Tide!
I didn't know that being on a submarine called the Alabama meant also loving the state and being a fan of their football team. How many of these assholes have ever been to Alabama? Is the Navy still welding pieces of this submarine in place right before launch? Where are all the f***ing sparks coming from? Submarine clearly has 3 camouflage spires in this shot, but then later only has 1 in subsequent diving shots.
Bravo, Hunter. You knew to shut up and enjoy the view. Your stock just went up a couple of points.
30-year veteran Navy captain uses arbitrary scoring system for his new XOs.
If you want your own boat someday, the very worst thing you can do is worry about yourself or try to impress me.
Said the guy who just hyped up his scoring system for subordinate officers. Seriously, using a men's choir to accent the action? Movie wishes it could be The Hunt for Red October. Oh, awesome. They're in the deeps portion of the Pacific Ocean. And not only that, but there are a multiple amount of deeps that they are navigating here. Also, in case you confused it with the Pacific Ocean shallows, the submarine brought a VHS copy of Cliffhanger on board. I'm glad we're getting the Greenwich Mean Time for this. It puts me right in the action, and I don't need to think, wait, is that 0400 Eastern Time? Did I leave the oven on? I bet I left the oven on. Holy shit, is that Ryan Phillippe? Because f*** that guy. Also, doofus low-level sailor is allowed to keep an aquarium with dozens of pet fish on a submarine because Hollywood. Worst cooks ever kickstart a chain of events so that Hunter and Ramsey can have their first showdown. Also, Denny's. Hunter just happens to be right next to the firefighter suits when one alarm sounds, which would be a matter of convenience except for the fact that he doesn't even take one. The next time we see him, though, he's got all the gear. Also, why is it that the TSO yells "Fire in the galley!" over the intercom, but it takes an alarm to sound before Hunter's aware of the fire? No one except the new XO knows about the magic one-touch button that puts out kitchen fires.
If you got something to say to me, you say it in private.
What did Hunter say that was so bad in front of the other men? He quietly reminded the captain that the fire could flare back up. But he didn't say, hey, f***tard, why are you running a weapons drill right now?
By the way, it was Marichek's 300 pounds that killed him, not the fire.
How many heavy people are on this ship? We have a chief of the boat. He's a big dude. Earlier we saw Bobby, not exactly a paragon of fitness himself, making snide remarks about this guy, who couldn't even do 3 push-ups. Also, when you bring up one guy's weight in a movie and then some other guy dies because of his weight, that tends to be confusing. Protagonist takes out his frustration through boxing cliché.
Does it make any sense to you to start a drill in the middle of a fire?
No, it does not. In fact, I'm surprised the Navy doesn't have explicit regulations about this kind of thing. This is 1995. We are well into the litigious cover-your-ass era.
Navy's all he's got. Navy and that little rat dog is. That's why his wife left him.
Wow, clunky exposition and a riveting ironing scene. Bravo, movie. Bravo.
That he would launch his land-based nuclear weapons at the United States and at Japan.
Movie thinks that it can just sneak Ricky Schroeder past us without us noticing. I mean, even this guy's kind of big, you know? The Navy will apparently put 150 pounds on you before you can go on a mission.
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was
It won't matter which Silver Surfer is best when you see the f***ing movies. Also, I suppose you don't need to credit Quentin Tarantino on the script touch-up if you're going to let him write dialogue that is so obviously Tarantino-ish. Nailed it. That is how you handle a problem right there. Of course, he never goes to talk to the other guy who was in the fight. That guy can shove whomever he wants and prefer the Mobius Silver Surfer without any reprimand. But what is the time? Boy, sure is a good thing we had that little Silver Surfer fight a minute ago, because now we're going to see his character in action, and I wouldn't have given a flying f*** about this guy if I hadn't seen that Silver Surfer thing a minute ago.
Set condition 1 SQ for strategic missile launch. Spin up.
What the f*** is Steve Zahn doing? They were told to man battle stations and everybody ran out of the room. Also, isn't he the same guy who gave orders during the weapons test? So when shit gets real, he becomes a slacker? Oh, look at Steve Zahn pretending he's been doing his job the whole time. Sad Philippi is sad.
Captain.
Yet again, manufactured tension between the two leads coming out of nowhere. Did Hunter say something completely out of line? This is the reason for Ramsey being a dick.
We got a limited radio transmission indicating an incoming EAM. We need to go shallow to reestablish communications.
What else is he supposed to say? And how else is he supposed to say it?
When our missile system is ready, Mr. Hunter, it is my intention to rise to launch depth, launch our birds, and then get the hell out of there.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. The whole reason why you didn't want to go up to the communications depth was because there was a Russian sub out there that could fire at you at any moment. That's why you dove to 831 feet. But wouldn't rising to launch depth put you in the same danger? Also, wouldn't rising to launch depth put you in the position to get the EAM? You began the mission at 150 feet, and when you started diving to avoid the Russian sub, you started getting a message, so you can apparently get communications at that depth.
We lost him, sir.
We'll keep looking. He's out there looking for us.
Not necessarily. I mean, shit. He turned toward you, fired 2 missiles at you, and you ramped up the speed and made about as much noise as a sub can make trying to get away. Does the other guy not have sonar? Did you go dead in the water after the explosion so that his sonar can't see you? You're telling me this dog was shut up in this bunk room with a lidless bowl of treats on the desk and didn't eat them all? Talk about threatening the suspension of disbelief.
Oh, we're in too close. Our weapons won't have time to arm.
Character unnecessarily wastes time explaining things to another character who should know better anyway, just so the audience can get some cheap Submarine 101.
Just shoot the f***er. What's 1,000 yards for? Because it takes 1,000 yards for the torpedoes to arm. Jesus, who'd you to get on this ship?
My thoughts exactly. And they go double for that asshat on the bridge a second ago who was equally clueless about this fact.
Passing 1,600 feet.
None of these sailors is doing anything to help restore the ship to working condition. This is tragic and all, but someone tell me again why these 3 idiots down here didn't just come up? One of them even said,
What the f*** are we doing here?
It's not like they didn't know their efforts were at this point in vain. It's not like they didn't know the water level was rising and Ricky Schroeder was yelling for them.
Maneuvering, turbine power restored!
And some ex-machina guy we didn't get to watch managed to fix the propulsion just 25 feet from hull crush depth. They should call this movie Convenience Tide.
I've been with the captain for years, and this asshole Hunter shows up.
Which brings up this question. Why haven't any of Ramsey's loyal followers ever been promoted to XO? They obviously have the experience, and they know what kind of man he is and get along with him. Maybe Ramsey wouldn't have such a hard time keeping his second in command if he could hire from within.
You know how many checks we go through to make sure a launch order is authentic?
Well, 2, right? You match the code on the paper to the code in the safe, and you have the XO do the same thing. Really, it's 1, if we're being honest, and it's just that 1 being repeated by a second person. So, 1 check.
You don't put on a condom unless you're gonna f***.
Yeah, but when you're fueling your missiles, you want them to hit the target. When you're putting on a condom, you definitely don't want your missiles to hit the target. Also, maybe you're putting it on to demonstrate to someone else the proper condom application process. Or maybe you're a condom model. Huh? Ever think of that? Also, dude, the entire Cold War was nothing but a series of condom putting-ons without f***ing. Did someone just say something about f***ing? Despite having no reason at all to turn on his friend or go against established naval policy, Weps agrees to the mutiny because reasons. Yeah, better close that door. It's not like people can see or hear you on the other side.
So it's all about knowing, Mr.
Okay, so his name is Vossler. Isn't that the same name that was on the boxing marquee in Pulp Fiction? Vossler versus Martinez? F***ing Tarantino. You can't even script doctor without putting one of your buddies' names in it.
Well, I'm Captain Kirk, you're Scotty.
Well, yeah, I suppose you don't need to credit Quentin Tarantino on the script touch-up if you're going to let him write dialogue that is so obviously Tarantino-ish. So, Crimson Tide is the title. The plot is basically 2 powers alternating turns on the throne. So, all I really need to know is which one's Alabama and which one's Auburn.
Inform your men directly that the captain is in command. I have the con.
An attempted mutiny has been put down.
Dude, what's the point of the special order for them to inform their men directly if you're just going to hop on the intercom and tell everyone at once?
Mr. Zimmer is the new XO.
See? I mean, he's probably not as good as Hunter, but he's at least not going to make the mistake of being black. Naval assholes are so sloppy they need 2 notes to remind them to clean. And this is the officer's mess, too. Also, it's your duty to clean, exclamation point. Coffee pot after you use it. That is definitely 1 sentence presented as 2. Good thing the captain told his mutiny dudes to clean out the weapons locker when they went for firearms. Oh, wait. Ramsey just happens to be walking underneath Hunter at this very moment so he can figure out they're going to missile control. Well, if the movie's trying to make it seem like either guy could be right, this part here kind of derails that in a huge way. Also, Hackman just went from kind of a hard-ass captain who is still not technically wrong to straight-up dickwad antagonist in the span of 3 seconds.
Initiate fire.
Submarine goes through the Death Star waiting period in order to get ready to fire.
Con, weapons. Russian missiles will have launch capability in 7 minutes.
Captain Radio, Vossler, sir, she's breathing again. We are really, really close.
You got 3 minutes.
Okay, so why was there a rush to launch the missiles then? If you're drawing a line at 4 total minutes until the potential Russian launch, seems like you could have had time to get a simple freaking message back when you had way more time earlier. Sure, there was a Russian sub around, but you were willing to go to launch depth, so what the fuck?
Speaking of horses, did you ever see those Lipizzan stallions?
Well, yeah, I suppose you don't need to credit Quentin Tarantino on the script touch-up. Ah, f it.
The Lipizzan stallions, most highly trained horses in the world. They're all white.
That's racist. Also, did I miss some racial subtext? They took that subtext right to the text without a bit of warning, didn't they?
And at birth, they're not white. They're black.
I guess this means something somehow. Either black is better or white is better. I can't decide.
Doherty, Westergaard, Zimmer, get that EAM.
Does it require 3 people to go get a message? Oh, screw you. We know the message is to terminate the launch. You know what would have been amazing? If it didn't terminate the launch. See, it's possible for Hunter to still be right, but still have to launch the missiles. But the movie has to be black and white, right? You see, being right was not what this was about. But I always felt like this was the douchier move. It's like a broadcast of how above it Hunter is that he's right. This guy's job.
I'm prepared to make my recommendations to Subpac.
Without my testimony, sir?
If he is lying, this will be the first I've heard of it.
Okay. But who cares whether he doesn't lie or not? There's something called bias that generally gets in the way of the truth sometimes, whether you think you're telling 100% of the truth or not.
You were both right, and you were also both wrong.
Honestly, they stacked the deck so high against Ramsey's being right, this statement doesn't seem that truthful. It seems like Hunter was pretty much 100% right, and Ramsey did everything he could to avoid being right in every situation. Also, cop-out ending suggests you should forget that the captain put a gun to an innocent sailor's head and also punched his XO in the face several times.
Be given his next command at the earliest possible convenience.
Movie unintentionally inspires the antagonist gives the protagonist a good recommendation at the end surprise from The Devil Wears Prada. More reading. Scary reading.
Passing 1,500 feet. At 1850, it's all over.
Your background is impressive, George, but how does it apply to what we do here at Kruger Industrial Smoothing?
Little ducks, there's trouble in Russia. So they called us. We're going over there, bringing the most lethal killing machine.
Tonight, we skate with them. Tonight, we stay with them. And we shut them down because we can.
I grew up around here. My grandfather took me to fish off that island right over there.
There is one question you haven't asked me yet.
You can't break me because you didn't make me. You understand? Huh?
Set condition 1 SQ for strategic. 125 and 2224.
Before we begin, Captain, I'd like to know exactly what happened to Putin. He didn't sleep on his tea, did he?
I don't think I like your tone, Slavin.
What the hell's my tone got to do with it?
We can still go back. All we have to say is...
There will be no going back.
Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
May I have your attention? I'm confused. All I hear from you, you spineless cowards, is how poor you are. How you can't afford my taxes, my protection. And yet somehow, you've all managed to find the money to hire a professional gunfighter to kill me.